right about now. There we go. Hey, it's Shaggy SoCal 2Old4Forza, and race two for our first week in the for Falcon XB is going to be at Maple Valley Full. Again, still running the test tune here. Um, this track more than the others. I want to say borderline over accentuates what the rear of the car wants to do. If there's a track that's going to take like a slightly playful rear end on the car and say, nope, we're going to make this thing much more treacherous. This track, well, you'll see in a minute, definitely requires a very smooth touch compared to Watkins Glen. Um, of all the, at least of the tracks I tested, if the car was doing here everywhere else, then I might be saying, yeah, I think we need to tighten the rear up a little bit. But let's just go through it. I'm going to do the track guide here and see where things are at. And maybe it's easier to show you than tell you. So you'll be down here, probably fourth gear, heading into turn one. I'm going to brake just where the Armco begins. Get the brake down, let off as I get past the camera position there that was on the right. Then here it's just second gear, well, third gear, balancing it, balance, balance, balance. I tend to differ from the Lion. I'm going to hug the inside all the way through the corner so that I'm nice lined up there, off the gas, turn in, slowly roll back into the throttle. Should be able to get to full throttle here, heading onto the back stretch. Just note, because there's a lot of hills and dips like that, the rear is going to there's going to be a lot of places where the rear is going to want to step out. So you just need to kind of be mindful of where that's at, where the car tends to jerk a little bit. A little bit wide, too wide there. And I would say the front half of the course isn't too bad. It's when we get to the back half that things get a bit trickier. So again, second gear here, slowly roll in. I'm going to eat the curving here, keep it on the right side. Under the bridge, just let off a little bit, roll back in to crest this hill. Same thing here, just roll out of the throttle, not all the way out, just enough. Crest the hill, back of the car will get a little light there, so you still be light on the throttle here, roll back in, ease off the throttle, turn in, avoid really clipping that grass, but you can clip this curving a bit here. This corner, that's going to be the hard one. And then the bottom of the hill here, I'm just going to give it a little quick brake, turn in, and then really not commit fully back to the throttle until I'm on the front straight. So let's do one more lap here. Down to third. And then a little too early, too much speed. So push a little wide, that's fine. Just use the throttle. Off, turn in, not even fully off the throttle, mostly off. Watch that curving, because if you hit that and it unsettles the car, you've got a lot of weight on the right side of the car, and that could be enough to really upset the car and put you into the grass. Again, I tend to take a later turn in. Though I've been doing it in third, I think actually second might be better through there. Again, that's probably my tendency on that turn against the AI. So, all right, let's see if we can do this better this time. Just ease off a little bit, pull back in, set up wide, same thing here. Just ease off. Let the car do the work, crest the hill. Yeah, so I'm committing back a little quick before the back of the car has a chance to settle in. A little bit of a jank slapper. Yeah, it is sliding the car a bit. That's a lap of Maple Valley. So yeah, this one's gonna be tricky. So um, again, the way this car is handling now, the back ends are probably a little looser than I'd want it, at least as far as you know being able to push it. I'd say if you're gentle with steering and throttle and paying attention, the car's manageable. But this is the only track where I think the tune as it sits now, this track really highlights the how how loose the rear can get. Uh, so anyhow, heading down the front stretch, slow lap, talking about this. Fourth gear, downshifting to third. Again, what I'm using, which seems to work best for me. Wrong button, not X. There we go. So what I'm using is what I'm trying to keep an eye on is I'm lined up here on the left side. So on the right, on the inside here, where the concrete barrier turns into the arm coat, that's kind of what I'm keying off of as far as okay, commit brake for turn one. Um, I'm also kind of starting to bring the car like what I would call diamonding it. I'm not going to stay parallel to the left side of the track in the braking. I'm actually going to start to turn it in. But really, it's braking down to third gear, and I'm trying to get my braking done so that I can release the brakes just as I'm getting to this camber position on the right side. So I'm not waiting until it goes out of view to get off the brakes. I'm going to get off the brakes as soon as I can. But it seems to be about when I get to this camber position that I can release the brakes, have the car in the corner, and actually start rolling back into the throttle. And this long, again, it's a long sweeper carousel-esque turn. I will hug the inside as much as I can. So I'll be on the throttle. I might have to back out of the throttle. I'm trying to, again, when I talk about steering with the throttle, I'm trying not to do a lot with the wheel unless the only adjustments you might see me do with the wheel is if I feel the back end wants to step out. If the back end's going to start to rotate out, I'll probably do a little flick adjust or open the steering up so that the car straightens out. But for the most part, if I'm in the corner and I'm on the, I'm trying to hold this as steady as possible. If I'm rolling into the throttle, I note the car's starting to push a bit, then I'm just gonna, without really adjusting the steering, I'll just back out of the throttle enough, let the front tires grip up, and the car will start to come back across. So it is a balancing act, but I do it in third gear. I am holding the inside a lot as much as I can. So even past the pit entry or pit exit at this case, I'm just going to follow the track limits and keep it to the inside. The reason I do that, at least in my head, this makes sense to me, is if you follow the braking line, the suggested line, you're still kind of turning and you're bringing the car back across right and and you're only getting it straight right before now you have to turn the car to the other direction. And I've always felt, especially in a lower class car, if I can hug the inside all the way through, not really lose, I'm shortening the distance one, but I'm getting the car set. Since I'm holding the inside, the car is going to be pretty set and it's going to be set and even and ready for this left-hander coming up, sooner than if I'm following the braking line out and I'm still kind of turning to the right and I still got weight on the left side that's going to only have maybe a second or a fraction of a second to kind of set and level before now I'm turning left and throwing that weight to the right side. So that's my that's my general philosophy. Again, it who knows? Maybe it is quicker to follow the line. This is what works for me. So normally as far as when I'm setting up for this next left-hander, I am looking at the Forza signboards that are kind of in the grass there. Again, knowing us, they're probably going to get knocked over. So the other thing I look off of is with the suggested line on, it's kind of like heading into the uphill S's at Suzuka. Where I see the line kind of meet up where it gets close to the right side of the track and it kind of lines up, I'm kind of using that as a reference. Again, there's really no other definitive static reference that I can use besides the braking line, but that's just kind of what I'm looking for. So when I get to that point, it's just basically I don't think you need to come all the way out of the throttle. I mean, you're going to come most of the way out of the throttle, but you'll probably be maybe half throttle to just to get out of it, to turn in, to let the car turn in. And it is kind of a blind entry. You're not going to see the apex until you start turning in. But hit the apex here. Usually when you get clear of this one and you get about to here, if you've done it right, or if I've done it right, um, I should be able to roll back into full throttle in the flat here before the exit of this. It's kind of a double apex turn. So I get in the middle of it, get into this flat area. If I've done it right, I can usually get back to full throttle. And I am trying to, I'm going to use as much track as I can, but I am really going to try to give myself room and not flirt with the curbing there on the right side. Again, even though we're straightening out here, you're still going to have a little bit of steering in the wheel. The weight's still going to be a bit on the right side of the car. And if you stray too far out in the outside there and you get it, and the rear tires spin up because you're going to be in third gear, it might be enough to get the car to the back end to step out suddenly, and then you're into a tank slapper. So I would try to avoid that curbing if possible. Still third gear, gentle turning. We're here. I'll usually then kind of hug the line here and then just kind of let the car just naturally just kind of drift out to the right side of the track. Still in third gear. You'll notice on this back stretch that's not, this back straight that's not really straight, there's a lot of hills, there's a lot of little bumps. Listen to the RPMs of the car as far as, and kind of keep track of where the back end gets light. Cresting the hills, there's another one late down before the bridge that you hear the back end, the tires just, the RPMs will jump a little bit. Just those are things to be careful of the steering that you have in the car, that it might cause the back to spin up and the back to step out a little bit. So again, third gear, usually I'll shift to fourth somewhere in here. Now the turn for the bridge, again, because of the cresting the hills, and you're going to have a lot of instances where the back of the car is going to get light, especially at critical points where you're going to be, transferring weight to the side of the car. The gentler you can make your turns, and the straighter you can make the turns, the less likely that you're going to have the back, step out and have these kind of moments. So I haven't quite figured the exact point, but usually about the time that I'm starting to go up this next hill, that's going to crest right before the bridge, I am going to try to start turning the car in, and kind of keying off of, you've got the roll of those row of golden, the trees there with the leaves. So maybe it's just trying to find what would be the furthest one down the track, which visually will be the one that's most to the left. Is kind of key off of that where that tree meets the left side of the track. That's kind of where you want to aim as you crest the hill. Should minimize the amount of steering you need to do. Because again, the car's going to get a little light here, and then there's another bump. You'll hit the apex here, and then right here, you can see it levels out, then it drops again. If you have too much steering in as you hit this, the back end will want to step out. So just be mindful of that. And when it does step out, it's going to really put you dangerously close to the wall here heading into the bridge. So third gear, maybe fourth gear. I take this corner much different than the line suggests, and I'm still playing with it around a little bit. I always like squaring it up more and braking as late as I can, straight, release, and then do a late turn in, and that way then I'm pointed straight down the hill. I'm not saying that that's quicker. That's what I do. So my braking is somewhere. The latest I would even dare to try and brake is right where on the right side there, where the two white cement blocks are. That kind of for the emergency crews. That's about as late as I would brake. I'll probably brake about here, which I think, yeah. So maybe just before the truck is about where I'll brake for this left-hander. Normally, I would always try to, take advantage of RPM and not, I've been trying it in third, and I just don't think I'm getting the car consistently slowed down enough. So second gear is probably a little bit better, but again, I will set up a little bit wider than the line suggests, because the line would already have you on the inside at this point. I like being out a little bit wider and then doing a later turn in and kind of clipping the end of that curbing as I head down the hill. Again, I don't know that there's a right or a wrong way to do that turn. It's just what I tend to do. Heading down to the hill to the next hairpin. Um, my tendency again with the AI, I've always just kind of, I'll kind of clip the curving there on the right side, and it's usually right about here. And if you look just above the race positions box, you see that extra bit of worn patch of ground there, the brown. That's what I kind of that's what I kind of look for. I'm gonna hit the wrong button again. I don't know why I hit X when I want to be hitting reverse. Back up. So kind of keep your eyes on that patch of ground that's right beneath, right between the 0 and race positions. Let's back it up. So just keep your eye on it. So it's something that, at least for me visually, as I'm coming down the hill, as I can't back up, I'm trying to spot that as soon as possible. So you can kind of, so pick, I kind of try to find that spot down, and it does line up. Like if I do an imaginary line from that patch straight across, it does kind of line up where the braking line goes red. So you can follow the suggested line through there. Usually what I like to do is I hit that point and I'm going to brake, and I'm just going to dive for the apex. Dive for the inside of the corner, second gear, slow it down, and then I'll kind of rejoin the suggested line here at the curbing. Follow it through, still second gear. Exiting out, straighten the exit out. I'll probably use a lot of this curbing here. Keep the car on the right. And then as you get under the bridge here, as you exit under the bridge, I'm going to roll out of the throttle. I'm not really going to brake. I'm just going to roll out of the throttle a little bit and turn the car in. And this is one of these, you can kind of see the angle of the road. This whole cresting turn is off camber. So you're not getting any help. You're not getting any help into the corner, and you're cresting a hill that you can already see the slant. So that's why it's best, I back out of the throttle to take the torque out of the back of the car to try and keep that back end planted as we crest the hill. Because ultimately what I want to do is crest this hill and keep the car on the left side, because I want to set up and be straight here and set for the next corner. Similar thing going uphill. As I turn in, I'm gonna slowly back out of the throttle, and I may not be all the way, but it'll be most of the way out of the throttle. I'm gonna try and bring the car to the right side, and what I'm aiming to do is I want to be able to crest this hill, probably come all the way out of the throttle, but I want to crest this part as straight as I can, because again the back end's going to get light, and then roll back into the throttle and then continue this long sweeping carousel turn here. That is a place where the back end will want to, as you crest it, if you have too much gas in, you'll feel the back end spin up and the car will start to rotate a little bit. It's not snappy, but it's just enough. If the first time it happens, you might catch you off guard, but just know that that's the place the back end will want to step out. And then this whole next series of corners and S's is really just about throttle balance and smooth steering. So I'll probably be, somewhere between 50 and 75% on the throttle. Get the car to the right side, get back to full throttle for that little bit. As I'm looking at the next thing, just ease off the gas, turn the car in. This grass here on this left side, this is one of these areas where Maple Valley is going to bite with this car. I would try and be neat and tidy and stay off the grass on the left side. If you hit it too early and you've got too much gas and too much steering, it is enough. It'll step the car. The back of the car will snap out, and then you're now tank slapping it as you now have, the rest of the S's that you have to navigate. So try and be neat and tidy, and not, you can flirt with it a little bit, but you really don't want to get on that grass or with the left sides with any sort of full throttle or steering. Because you want to be straight through here. You want to be able to try and keep it back to full throttle. And then here you can clip this curbing a little bit. You might do a slight confidence lift, as you cross the curbing, just to make sure that the back end doesn't step out. Same thing here. You can get on this curbing a little bit, but get the car to the left side. Um, these last two turns, I think, are the sketchiest with this car, as far as Maple Valley, saying no. I'm gonna, mess with your head. Um, so I'm usually in third gear here. Most like when I'm on the controller, most times what I'm looking for is I'm using the tire. You can see the tire bundles there on the inside. I kind of use that as if I'm here on the right side, as I'm passing those tire bundles, that's when I know I can start to turn in, because it is a blind turn in. Most cases in other cars, I will, use that. I'll lift off the gas, turn the car in, and usually I'll take that opportunity to upshift, because I'm going into a downhill. So I'm going to, gravity's your friend in this case. So I want to use gravity, go ahead and put the car in the higher gear. Gravity will help with the acceleration down the hill. And that way I don't have to worry about trying to time and shift out. Um, this car and the way this corner is cambered and some of the little bumps through there, it is a bit tricky. So um, if you can, I think third is safer, and then downshift to fourth once you're straight. But ideally, what I'm trying to do is bring the car through here. I'll probably, knowing me, I'll probably get on the curving a little bit. But the hazardous part of the exit of this corner, and you can barely see it here, you'll see it more when you're at speed, is as I get as I'm getting to the left side, there's a little bit of a dip where it's like, you're kind of cresting down and it kind of dips and evens out before then it crest goes back down the rest of the hill. If you're in, what I'm finding is if I'm in fourth gear and I'm too much on the throttle or too much steering and it hits that dip, it's enough to get the back end to step out, to just, and then it's not, and when I say step out, it's not like a subtle little, it'll step out a little bit where it's like, okay, I've got to catch the car. Very easy to get into a tank slapper. So, third gear till you hit that point, and you'll feel that little bit of a bump when you hit that dip. And once you're there and you know that the car, you're safe and straight, go ahead and put it in fourth and straight down the hill. Um, Getting down towards the bottom of the hill, at least what I'm doing now is still in fourth gear. I don't know. Maybe I'll play with it in the mock race. What I've been doing is, as I get to the white sign, it's just as I get there, it's just a quick brake to get some weight in the front, and then off the brake, off the gas, or maybe most of the way off the gas, and then turn the car through the corner. Excuse me. I don't know if just easing off early works better, but this last part of it, again, the way the bumps are on the exit, it's a little bit tricky to get right consistently. So again, just a quick brake, turn in, still fourth gear. You're fine here. I'm going to try and aim for the curbing. It's this part here, because you can kind of see the last part of this turn is tricky, because once I hit the apex here, now I'm heading down to this last little kink. You can barely tell we're off camber again. So the track's not helping us. And then we're gonna hit this dip here to turn onto the front stretch. And this is another one, that dip is enough that if you don't hit it right, or if you got too much gas or like that, the back end, you might feel the car step out. I mean, I'm not sure. I can't remember the couple laps I've done on stream. It will unsettle the car. It might send you across the track to the right. It might, pin you here to the left a little bit. It's a little bit tricky. But ideally, if you get it right, then you still have a little bit of room. You can kind of let the car straighten out here onto the front stretch, still in fourth gear and finishing the lap. So, um, yeah, the Maple Valley is definitely flipping us the bird of like, ha, you think you enjoy the car? We're gonna make you hate it. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see then, if there's any adjustments made to the back of the car to maybe tighten it up a little bit, that might help here. We'll see. But let's go ahead and get into the mock race, and we'll see how consistent I can be. All right, so I've changed the AI a little bit on the race setup, and I've changed the delays. I think actually I'm going to change the delays a little bit more. So I'm still going to start. Yeah, I'm still going to start 55 seconds back. I still have the same division starting up front. But bucket two, I'm going to actually start you guys at 40 seconds, and I'm at 55. I'm going to start at 50. Okay, so again, we still have for this one. We'll see how the AI works out. Got historic road racing starting up front. Those guys will be slow. We'll catch them pretty easily. Made a change to bucket two instead of Fast and Furious. That we're not Fast and Furious. We're going to do vintage GT racing. These guys, the PI is significantly higher, but I honestly, I think with Maple Valley, yeah, I should be able to. I, I would be surprised if they run away. I think I should be able to catch them, even with that much of a PI difference. But starting behind me, I've made a second change, and I decided to throw in a couple of Aussie supercars. These guys are definitely going to catch me. They're definitely going to be quicker. Again, it's just to throw in a faster car just for funsies. So with that, we'll save those settings. What I think based off test laps I've done, this could be about a 19 to 20 lap race, depending on how Matt figures it out. And we'll get started here. Uh, again, it's nice being back in a car that we can just have one mandatory pit stop in the race. So, I'll probably take it about halfway through, like always. But again, uh, you know, roughly 35-minute race. Take your pit stop between 15 and 25, I believe, is the rule for these sprints, and we'll go from there. Okay, I don't know what the one to my right is actually. Let me turn on my controller. I've got a Nissan, a Ford, and a Holden. Okay, I got 3 different manufacturers in there. Hopefully I've given them enough of a head start on me. All right. I'll do second gear on this first lap, cold tires. Third. Somebody's already off. That's the Lotus. Stab the throttle. Gonna take out some cones. Wow, hostile cones. Lead cones. I'll say this will not be my most spectacular opening lap. Ow. I did turn off limit driver aggression, so. Rolling the dice every lap there. Again, if you notice, just getting in that, once I feel the car's settled, and it's just a slow roll back into the throttle. There's no, oh, ow. Sorry, I'm just like, was that the Ford or was that the Chevy that clobbered me? But as I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted. That first turn, it was just a very, I'm never really stabbing the throttle unless I'm actually intentionally trying to break the rear loose, or I know that the car is absolutely set straight and I can roll back on the throttle without spinning up the rear tires. Excuse me. You can let off. You don't necessarily have to brake for well, you don't have to brake for the last corner if you don't want to, but you definitely have to get off the gas. So, I just lifted at the black Forza sign and then just let the car roll into the corner. Oh, it's a little late going into the grass. Learn from my mistakes. The other car stepped out a little bit there. Very, very smooth adjustments with steering and throttle. Back into slide a little bit there. Back end getting a little loose. See, that's fine. It's just a very slow and lazy slide. Oh, that's a bit early. I want to turn in early there to straighten, to take that crest as straight as possible. But then I don't want to be pointed straight into the wall when I hit the next kind of dip there. That was a little too early. A little bit too fast to the throttle there. almost a little too much curbing there. Yeah, the turning at the top of the hill there, even there I could feel the back end wanting to, the liftoff oversteer. Even though I wasn't fully coming out of the throttle, the turn in, it's enough that the back end wants to just start to slide. You can see there, you could hit that little bit of a hump. I didn't really change the steering. I was on full throttle, and it rotated a little bit. Thing too is, if you notice, as I crest the hill, maybe not that one, but the previous one, that I'll straighten the steering out a little bit, help balance the car front to rear as when the rear gets light. Yeah, I think the reason why, again, the turn in there at the top of the hill, the other reason why the back wants to step out is, you're turning in at the crest of the hill. So you're just by nature of that, the back end of the car is going to be later on turn in than, say, like here, where there's not a sudden drop. A little bit of a break. Excuse me. Who'll put all those cones out in the middle of the track? That was a bit early turn in. It's got to back out of the throttle. That could have been a little bit better. That was a little bit. It's kind of like, okay, what's going to happen? What's going to happen when I hit the little dip there? The nice thing is, again, fuel and tire wear is not going to be a consideration. It's really just going to be about, that pit window when you want to take it. Excuse me. Ooh, someone went wide. Oh! Ah! I was watching him go like he's gonna hit the tire wall. He's gonna hit the tire wall, and then unsafe re-entry. No, not that crazy. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is, pit about lap 10, and well, not pit about lap 10. I'll pit at lap 10 and finish the race out. But then it'll give me a decent idea just to confirm that, yeah, we're good on fuel and tires. Set up a little bit wider. See if I can. Pull the Ferrari through. That's the 250 LM. And if I remember correctly, that was the last Ferrari to win overall at Le Mans before the GT40s came in, which actually going into this year's Le Mans with the new hypercar class, Ferrari's actually got a shot to try and take overall victory again. Oh, you shall not pass. Yeah, setting up for this corner, I am just touching the brakes. That's what happened. Ever so slightly. Maybe the wider line is better for this car, at least for how I'm driving it. And plenty of room on the outside. Back online. We'll slow through there. We will box this lap. Of course, I have not practiced going into pit lane yet. And it would not surprise me if we change this, if Matt changes this to reverse, just because of how crazy it is getting into pit lane on this layout of Maple Valley. But honestly, since we're all in the same, for the most part, since we're all going to either be in party chat or Discord chat, it should be pretty easy to communicate who's going to go into the pits when. Ooh, got a big run. So let's see. Getting into pit lane, I'm going to set up a little bit more. That worked that time. Thankfully, we only have to worry about trying to get into pit lane once. But yeah, it's probably just communicating as you're coming down the hill if you're in traffic, hey, I'm pitting. So that one I just bounced it off the rev limiter in third, and that just kind of uh, kept it stable enough, and that way getting into the corner, you just want to make sure you're a little bit slower so you can hug the right side and go straight into pit lane. So getting out of pit lane, let's see what gear we're in. Probably going to put us in second. First gear, second. Should be able to just go flat out third and just keep it to the right, and you're right back on the line. Very, very late on the brakes. Steering there. And if I'd have been a little bit better, I would have timed the run coming out of the chicane, heading into the last turn. But I'll get him down the hill. Yeah, so I'm really cautious about when and how quickly I'm getting back to full throttle in that last corner. Oh. A little too aggressive. And that's what it's like in third gear. So again, I still had a little bit of torque in the rears as I crested the hill, and they just started to step out. So check brake right about here. That's a nice little pass. A little bit of a dive, but gotta time those better. Whoa, that was interesting. AI decided, nope, I want to get back on the regular racing line. Okay, so 5th place. So the guy in front of me is for position, and then I take it then the supercars have the top 3 spots. That's expected. Hopefully that means I can get a few clean lap attempts here at the end of the race. That was a little sketchy on turn in. All right. $49.2. Let's see if we can do a little better than that. A little early. A little too quick back to the throttle. Just a 10th, but let's see what we get. Oh, darn it. This lap's dirty too because I messed up the last corner. Watch, I'll run like a 148.5 or something. Okay, so I think for the next track guide, I'll probably start a little bit further back. Just to see if I can get a little more late race action. Okay, no, sorry. I normally don't like doing that during these track guides, but it's like, darn it, I want to be able to get a clean lap. At least give me one good opportunity. A little bit wide. I'm being aggressive. All right, 2 laps left. I'm actually turning in, I think I'm turning in too late now for the final corner, which is part of my problem. I want to get a little bit more aggressive and see if we can shave a little more time off of that. I was almost too early into that corner. All right, let's see if we can get it. Let's see if we can be like Goldilocks and just get it right on the last one. Just right. Then the other thing is I'll probably wait and shift it into fourth once I start going down that final hill. Might be able to hustle the car through that turn in third easier. If I can get the line right this time. That's better. Is it quicker? Is it quicker? 147.8. I have no idea if that's faster than the previous lap. I was close. But that is Maple Valley full in this Ford Falcon. Yeah, the track kind of, what I've talked about before, as far as the back end and the current setup right now that we're testing, it's got some playfulness to it, which again, hashtag me personally, I do prefer. It gives me some control over the car, as far as helping rotate it, either coming off the throttle or getting back onto it. But Maple Valley then kind of takes that and just dials up the dials that up a little bit more than say some of the other circuits. So we'll see what the final adjustments are. But again, I don't think we would make the car looser. It might just be tightening up the rear a little bit. But then, my other opinion is if this is the only track that really is semi-problematic, then I don't want to then neuter this car for the rest of the circuits where the slight oversteer is actually a lot of fun. So that's my own personal opinion. But again, at the end of the day, whatever the setup is, that if we're all in the same setup, then I'll drive whatever it ends up being. So with that, I'm going to end the stream. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Please, 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 if you get a chance, test the car. Honestly, that way, if you do, and point out what you're finding in Matt, we can make those final adjustments. If you don't test the car and then you don't like the tune, that's on you. And so, with that, hope you guys have a great weekend. Happy racing. See you next week.